Good morning. Last night at the ABC school board meeting, there were 34 speakers for the first public comments. Now, if you look at the math, right? 34 speakers, if they all use 5 minutes, it would take 170 minutes, which will come to approximately 3 hours. Now, as you know, it is just not practical. Why? Because usually after the close session, board starts its meetings after 7, maybe it can go up to maybe 7:30, and board wants to end the meeting by 10:30. That means you have 3 hours. And if you look at it, right, usually public comment starts after 1 hour because there are a lot of initial, formalities like, presentation from the elementary schools and high schools and union president and things like that. So after that, public comment starts around 8:30, like yesterday night. Now, obviously, you cannot have 3 hours public comments, right? And one of the rules says that public comments can go for 1 hour. That means usually they expect 12 speakers during the first public comments, which is usually more than required, right? Usually we see a handful of speakers, so 1 hour is more than enough. The issue comes when there are pressing topics like yesterday's, right? Yesterday 34 is probably among the maximum we have seen. So now, obviously, we don't want to deny 22 of them an opportunity to speak, right? So now there are different options. One is reduce the speaking time, say for 3 minutes, even then it can only accommodate 20 speakers. Then obviously another option is let us give them all a chance. And that's what they did yesterday. And you saw what happened. What happened is that public comments went beyond even 10:30. And board has to extend the board meeting by 1.5 hours, which is again board hardly does. Most of the time they want to finish it at 10:30, and the maximum I have seen is they want to postpone by another 30 minutes, sometimes 1 hour. And yesterday it was probably the longest they were willing to postpone, that is by 1.5 hours to midnight. So how can we do a better job here, right? Few options. One is email them ahead. That way your input is officially recorded. Or as they say, appoint a leader to speak for your group if you are talking about the same topic, and let the leader speak, and then still you can provide your comments in written form for record, because it really doesn't make a lot of difference whether you speak there in person or send it via email. Why? Because most of the time they are ignored, as you all know. It is just a record. Does it help if 34 people speak versus one group leader speaks for the group? Depends. I really don't think it is going to make a significant difference, but we have to strike a balance. The reason I'm bringing it up is that, as you can see, yesterday the public comment ended by 11 p.m., which is way past the usual deadline. That leaves board only less than 1 hour to go through the agenda items. Some of them could be important, critical, right? And as you know, usually after the agenda items are done, there is second public comment, which is where they give options for people to speak remotely using Zoom. But as you can see, if we consume most of the time for the first public comments, most likely we won't get an opportunity for second public comment. Like yesterday at midnight, do you think they would have given those who are waiting a chance to speak via Zoom? No, not really. Just watch the meeting, you will see that. They are in a hurry to finish, and it makes sense, right? They started probably 6 o'clock in the evening, and they're also humans, right? But usually, right, under usual circumstances, if there are only a handful of speakers during the first public comments, you will definitely get opportunity to speak during the second public comment via Zoom. And again, assuming it is a handful of speakers, everything can be done within the 10:30 deadline. Another opportunity to speak is after every action item on the agenda, after board discusses it, there is an opportunity for public to speak for 5 minutes. And this is something most people don't understand, or they don't make use of this feature. Of course, it has to be related to that particular agenda item, but you get 5 minutes there. So technically, if there are 5 agenda items, you get to speak on each agenda item for 5 minutes each, in addition to the public comments, first and second, right? So again, very few people make use of this, but please consider it, going through the agenda and making use of these opportunities also. And as you know, right, public comments is for those items which are not on the agenda. That's why it's important to go through the agenda items and see where you want to speak. Try to speak if it is on an agenda, because you will get a separate 5 minutes. But again, all these things work as long as we have only handful of speakers, right? All these things fall apart if we have a crowd want to speak, which happens probably a few times in a year. So the idea is that understand the rules and protocol and try to use it to your advantage, because board they don't want to listen to you whole night, right? I mean, it's understandable, right? And also there is some conflict, different opinion among the board members, something that you can only extend the board meeting by 1 hour, but actually yesterday President clarified that no, you can extend only once, but you can extend it for 1 hour, 2 hour, 10 hour. Nobody's there is no such limit, because that's one thing some of the board members are trying to mislead public, saying that you can only extend it for 1 hour. No, that's not true. Yeah, you can only extend it for once, but it can be for whatever duration you think you need, because you know how many speakers are there and what are the agenda items you have, so you will have an idea, how long will it take. Will it take 1 hour extra, 2 hours, 3 hours? So it is doable. And also, right, try to reduce the speaking time and communicate via email. And again, reach out to your board members. That's what they say, right? You have their email, and you can even call them, and some of them respond via email and your calls, and try to make use of all those avenues, channels, right? So bottom line is that it is very important to stay informed and engage and speak or share your input via public comments, in person, virtually, or via email. Yes, these things will have some impact, but may not have direct, immediate impact. But these things will make board and superintendent officials to what you call stay honest. So thank you for all who spoke yesterday, and keep up the good work.